Rightio everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this wonderful painting here. Now this is a watermill in West Virginia, yeah? And I did this top section in part 1, just very simply, keeping it nice and simple, and we're going to move down now. We have all these lovely rocks here, lovely waterfall and some reflections. So let's take our time, and we may get all of this done, but I'm not kind of too pushed if I don't get all of this done. Even if we get down to the base of the waterfall, that would be nice as well. But we can take our time, okay? In case you missed my part 1 tutorial, I'll give you my colours. Titanium white, naples yellow, cadmium yellow pale, alizarin crimson, a little burnt sienna, a little burnt umber, some magenta, I haven't used it yet, but I may. Some lamp black, phaylo blue and cadmium red. Now, what I'm going to do as we continue on with this is I'm going to start blocking in some of the areas just with this big brush here, okay? And what I want to do is just give them kind of a tonal undercoat. I'm going to take some burnt umber, and I'm going to take, let me just clean my brush here, some loose hairs in the brush. All you do is just take them there like that and give it a pull, and it pops out, okay? I'm going to take this and maybe a hint of crimson, and what I'm going to do with that then, maybe a touch of black as well, look. I have a fair bit of turpentine in this now as well, okay? And what I'm going to do with that is just start putting in some of the darks. So for instance there, we have a very dark patch on this rock just here, so I'm going to put that in. You can see it's quite watery. Now this will start kind of soaking into the canvas as we go, so it's not going to be very wet. Now I'm taking a bit of naples yellow and burnt umber, and I'm just going to sort of quickly put in all this kind of browny rocky area with this dry kind of a mix here. Look, it's really dry. There's not a lot on the canvas or on the brush. It's just really thin. Let's go across here. What I'm going to do with the waterfall is I'm going to just take a little lamp black with that and a hint of brown. I'm going to paint in the waterfall with this very dark colour. Let me get some burnt sienna actually. I'm going to paint in the waterfall in this very dark colour and bring it right across here actually as well, look. Scrape it on, nice thin mixture. Okay? So you can kind of see what I'm trying to do here now, just filling in this kind of colour underneath. Little bit of naples yellow with sienna. Let's go over here and just get some of this in up here. I will then switch to a slightly smaller brush in a moment and start forming some of the rocks with my small brush, okay? Okay, now that's enough with this brush just for now. I'm going to put that down and I'm going to move to a slightly smaller brush, okay? Now, let's just, I'm not going to copy the reference photograph exactly, okay? I'm just going to kind of make it my own a little bit. I will try and copy it as best I can, but I'm not bothered if it's not exactly the same. Do you see what I mean? Okay, I'm going to take some, I suppose we start up in this corner here, okay? And we have like this brick wall. I'm going to basically make all of this area now first nice and dark, but not really dark. But let's go for a burnt umber, and let's just go up here, and behind this I'm going to make this nice and dark. Now would you like me to zoom in, or is there any point in me zooming in, because you won't see my palette then if I do? I think I'll just leave it as it is. Yes? I'm going to go in behind here, and we have a dark area underneath the railing there, okay? We have a railing coming across here. Well, not a railing, it's like a support structure. So I'm going to put that in. Let me take some naples yellow and crimson and little sienna. I'm going to suggest, take more sienna, I'm going to suggest the rocky area here kind of coming down. Look, I'm just going to pull it down with my brush at a slight angle. So that's the kind of lay of the land, and that's the way the rocks are falling down. So I'm just going to come down like that, sort of, you know, that kind of a way. Let me take a little green. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow, a little hint of black, and I'm going to take a hint of phaylo blue. Now you don't want this too cold. That's a bit too cold, isn't it? So let's take a bit more burnt umber in that. I just want to put a very dark green in behind here as well, because I can see hints of green in there also. I'm going to kind of soften it up there into that green, okay? I'm just kind of flicking the brush around now in kind of different directions, and I'm going to put a bit of black and a bit of blue right in behind the wheel, okay? I want to get a very dark, strong shadow just in behind the wheel. And then leave it sort of soften out over here, okay? Just leave it soften out. Let's take a bit of burnt sienna perhaps, and let's add a hint of burnt sienna. I'm just kind of dotting little colours around here and there, okay? I'm not being too fussy. I just want to create this kind of rocky area effect over here, that's all. And we can fix the wheel then, don't worry, we'll fix all of this wheel as well as we're going. Okay, there we go, let's bring it across here a little. Now, so you can see in general now what I've kind of done here. What I'm going to do next now, take a very small pointy brush, okay, it's a size 00. And by the way, if you need any brushes, any of these brushes, okay, just let me know, because a lot of people who order these stubby brushes off of me, right, I can add in little pointy brushes for you as well if you can't get them yourself, okay? So I have this little small round stubby as well as these flat stubbies, but I can also add in, if you really want, little pointy detail brushes, okay? But just let me know, and I can add them into the collection as well. So don't be afraid to just ask, okay? They're fantastic little brushes, look, they're really pointy, they're fantastic. Now, let's take some Naples yellow and a little white, okay? And I'm going to just suggest very loosely the support on this, okay? Come down at an angle and disappear off. Now give the brush a wipe and then pick up more, and let's put one down here, and then let's pick up a bit more and just do some crisscrosses here and there, look. And don't worry if you pick up paint, it doesn't have to be a solid clean line, okay? You can pick up some of that green underneath as well, that's fine. That makes it even more natural. And we have a little piece coming across here over the top of that. And a little piece coming down here as well, which sort of turns the wheel. Okay. You see, it's just a simple little suggestion, that's all. You take some Naples yellow and pop one or two of those in, kind of as they disappear into the wooded area. Okay? Now, it's just simple as that. What I'm going to do now is just take some Naples yellow and a little white and a little burnt umber, and I'm just going to suggest some brick here, okay? It's almost like a little brick wall, isn't it? Some sienna, some Naples yellow, and it almost kind of disappears into the ground, doesn't it? Then I'm going to take some black with burnt umber and just create sort of the end of this rocky area just here. Soften it out. And let's give it a little detail, just a little, okay? Some black, and let's just go and give it a hint of detail. Suggest some of the stonework here and there. Now, isn't that nice and simple? We didn't have to go to a whole lot of trouble to achieve a nice simple result. Now also in this side here we have some green bushes, don't we? So let's take our relatively dry large flat brush, go right into thick yellow and right into a little bit of black. We get ourselves a nice rich green, and let's just bring a bit of green in here. Okay, look, just a little. And we could even go with some cadmium yellow and naples yellow and give it a hint of light as well. You see? Just to kind of break it up a little, that's all. And then some cadmium red. Continue on down with that lovely cadmium red, little flowery kind of a bush. Okay? Now, as we have the red as well, let's just fix our wheel slightly. Okay. There we go. We can come back to this as well now later on. Don't worry about that. Now, we are pretty much sorted with... One second now, let me just fix my photograph here. Okay, I must just fix my photograph on the phone here because it keeps rotating on the phone and it's just really annoying, to say the least. Okay, now I think the next thing that we should do is move on. Let's move on now and do this rock here, okay? We're going to start adding some nice greys into this now. So, let me just fix that. Right, I'm going to take some white. I'm going to take a hint of black. A hint of burnt umber, black and white. Okay? That will give you a nice, warm kind of a grey. I don't think that's too bad. Let's go, and we have a little bit of grey as well up in here, goes up into the tree line, doesn't it? So let's bring that up there, just dabbing across in downward strokes, look. So it's just breaking up the stone behind. And we have little bits of foliage popping over it then here and there, don't we? A little bit more black, let's just make it a little bit darker. And also, one little suggestion, a good idea would be if you wanted to tint your entire canvas like a dark brown, completely, with a very wet wash of burnt umber. That would help all of this as well. It would help you kind of develop your tones as you're going. So that's one way of doing it. Now let me just add some darker here with some black and a bit of brown again. Okay, just a little darker here and there. And even as it comes down, take a bit more black and a bit of burnt sienna for a change. Let's just darken it. Darken it right down there, okay? Now, I'm going to take a drop of turpentine and I'm going to make that a little bit wetter. I'm going to come down and just fill in this big rock here in front, look, with that. With that very thin mix. Now it's not very thin, but it's thin enough to be able to pull around on the canvas quite easily, okay, you see? It's not a very thick mix. Let's go down here, let's bring this right across here like that. And then we have a very dark shade underneath that, don't we? Very dark, it's almost just like a black. Let's take a black with a hint of crimson just to make it warm. And I'm going to go along then under that and create the shadow. Just pull that all the way along. Again, you don't have to be perfect with this. It's just an impression. You see, I'm just kind of creating all these little shapes first. Then we can start adding some detail to them. So let's go along here. And we can bring it up like that. Okay. Now, next we can move to our pointy detail brush. take a little naples yellow, a little sienna, and a little white. And I'm going to just go up here and add little touches of highlight to some of these stones. Here and there, look. Just to show that they're kind of catching the light here and there as well. You see? Then we go on top of this and give this a little bit of light. Like so. I'm just kind of looking at the reference photograph now and just picking out where I think the light, well, you can see the light kind of catching just a little bit, you know what I mean? That's all. Then I'll take a little black and I'm going to just suggest some crevices on the rock and that type of thing, okay? One thing you could do is use a palette knife as well for that rock, but I'm not a huge fan of palette knives for rocks and things like that. You can create fantastic looking rocks with palette knives. I'm just not a very, very big fan, do you know? I'm just not. I prefer to use just use a brush and create rocks with the brush strokes on your brush. I don't know why. You can use a palette knife if you like, but just try different things yourself. Let's take a little bit of light and put some light down here like that. Just kind of scrape it along. You see, just kind of creating that rough kind of rocky surface. Understand? Now I'll take a little bit of black again and I'm going to just go under here. And it's really nice and dark down in there, isn't it? So are you enjoying this type of a tutorial now for a change, yes? It's nice for a change, isn't it? To do something like this. Something that you can take your time with lots of detail. And there's no rush, you know, we can go at our own pace. These are ones that I really, really love. Love painting these types of scenes. This will be a stunning scene, I think, when it's finished. Well, I hope it will be. Now, I'm going to move to my slightly smaller flat brush, and I'm going to just add a little bit of light up there. Let's take some of that light grey colour that we mixed, some black, some burnt umber, and a little white. Let's take some sienna, actually. There's a lot of sienna colour going through this painting, isn't there? And just create some light on that rock here. We have another piece of light coming across under this, don't we? Like so. Let's take sienna with naples. I'm keeping it quite warm. More sienna, more naples yellow. Okay. Now, sit back everyone again, just take a look and see how we're getting on. What I might do is take a little bit of a very light purple again, right? Well, a pinky kind of a purple, let's say. So a tiny bit of blue, a bit of red, and lots of white. And I'm going to just go again on top of that rock up there with this light kind of mauvey colour, just to kind of really catch the light. Let's take a bit more of that now. Let's take loads of white. So a tiny amount of phaylo blue, lots of white, and a hint of cadmium red. I'll try cadmium red this time. So I have a very bright bluey sort of a colour. I'm just going to redefine some of the light on that rock up there, okay? Just like so. I know it's probably a bit of a curve up there. Let's make it a bit higher here actually. Little spot here and there. I might add some of that colour actually here and there on some of these as well. Now, we also have a little bit of a watery stream running just in around here. Let's just pop that in. Just with a little blue and a little white. Okay, it almost sort of disappears. And then we have, I'm going to take a clean flat brush again, and we have a little bit of water coming around the rock in here. So let's take some blue and some white for that, and let's just go from side to side. You see, just kind of wiggle it around. Now, I'm going to take a small pointy brush again. I hope you can see all this okay now. Little bit of blue, little bit of red, plenty of white. And I'm just with that pointy little brush going to just suggest some just little details on this water coming around here, okay? Let's add a little bit more to this. Okay. Then I fill in this area, make a little rock up here. Let's make a little rock up there now. I'll take some sienna, naples yellow. I'll go with that first, I think. Yeah, let's just pull some of that down and it's going to disappear up into the tree. Okay. Let's go up here behind. Soften it up into the tree then, look. So it disappears. Then again I'm going to take my small pointy brush, get some burnt umber this time, and start adding just the shape of some rocks up here, okay? The shadows of the rocks coming down. So we'll add some darks first and then we'll add some lights, yes? Get some nice strong darks down around here. I hope I'm making this easy enough for you now to kind of follow along. Again, if you want to use the palette knife for this, you can, by all means. Do whatever's easier for you, alright? Whichever you find easiest. You don't have to copy this exactly. I'm just kind of trying to sort of simplify this scene for you, that's all, okay? This is what I would kind of normally do when I'm painting myself. Sometimes I may take a bit more time and put in more detail, other times I may not. But it's just to give you a nice little idea of how I would approach something complicated and simplify it. because it does look like there's a lot going on in this type of a painting, and there is, but you can make it look, just make it easy. You can make it easy, you know. A little bit of dark up there, look. It's just darken that slightly. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take a small rough brush, right? Let's say something like this, a very worn brush. I'm going to take some green, so I'm going to get some black, some yellow, a little blue, and perhaps a little burnt umber. And I'm going to just add little bits of green here and there on that rock there, okay? See? Just with the corner of the brush. Just take little bits and just dot some nice green around. And that helps it then sort of fade into the background beneath the tree, you see what I mean? Just like that. And we can bring some over here too. Just like that. Let's take a bit of burnt umber. So now everything kind of softens together, doesn't it? Right, put that down. And let's take our small brush. I'll go for a slightly bigger one actually. Okay, I'm going to get some light colour on some of the rocks over here now. So I'm going to add, let's say, a little bit of light to that one there. Some light to this one. Okay. Just to suggest some light hitting the rocks, that's all. Let's just keep it simple. Let's take some more white. Let's just redefine some of the water here. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go across with some of the light on the top of this rock here. So take a flat brush, just give it a quick clean. Let's take some sienna, some Naples yellow. Now it looks like it could even be just that colour on its own, but I'm going to lighten it very slightly. Let's take some white with the Naples yellow and a little sienna. And I'm going to go sort of dance in and out here with that colour and create a top light on this rock here, okay? This big rock. Very, very bright colour just over here, and it kind of pops in and out then as it goes across, doesn't it? And I may add a little hint of that over here as well. Okay. Next, I may tackle the dark under that rock there again. It's very dark under here, isn't it? So I come across to about here. I'm going to come down and I'm going to fill in this shadowed area under this rock here, okay? Let's take some burnt umber and let's go. We're following the waterfall here, and then it takes a turn down, doesn't it? Then it goes over here. Let's just fill all that in there now with this lovely dark colour, okay? And we'll work on the lights then very soon. Just scrape that in. Take a touch of turpentine if you need to, just to soften it a little. Okay. Boom. I'm going to darken some of this centre of the waterfall just here. We have a couple of really dark black kind of areas there, don't we? Just for a moment. In fact, I will bring a little blue and black just across here, okay? Because it's very dark behind that water. It's very whitey here, so there's a lot of white, so I'm not worried about that. It's just over on this side here, there's a lot of dark right in the centre. So I just want to darken that colour, just a little. I know now this kind of looks very complicated, but there's just so much going on, it's constantly kind of changing all of the time. Now, I may just try my palette knife. Let's just try it at once and see how it goes. I know I said I'm not a huge fan of these, but I'd like to just try it this once. Try and create the impression of this rock up here, this big rock. And let's go over here. There, you see? Not too bad now, is it? Just for that one. I just wanted to catch the impression of the rock on that one. Maybe actually one just above it as well up here, just to add a little bit of light. No, okay, that's fine, that'll do. I'm thinking I may darken this here now. Come right down and darken all this water here, this watery colour. Just to have it ready for me for very soon when I want to do the water. So I'm going to do very dark blacky blue on this, okay? Let's take some turpentine, some phaylo blue, a little black and a little crimson. And it's quite thin and watery, and where the base of the waterfall comes down, I'm just going to put this across. That's a bit blue. Let's take a bit more black and a bit of crimson. I'm going to put that across here, okay? Again, this is just my base, my little base colour, and that can be drying in then as I'm working on the waterfall, alright? It can be kind of soaking into the canvas, and that'll be a nice undercoat then, a nice little base for my water later on. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, let's take some more of that, and let's go like that. No, I think that will do now, just for now, it's fine. Okay, so I think we're going to tackle the waterfall next. And okay, there are lots of different ways you can do the waterfall. You could use a fan brush. Normally I would use a fan brush, but I think I may try my large stubby brush for this, only because it's a bit closer together. The hairs are a little bit closer together, and it might give me a nicer effect, I think. Let's just try it. If it doesn't work out, we can go back to a fan brush or something like that, okay? Or even something slightly smaller like this. But let's just try it and see how we go. I have another one actually here. So I could use a little flat brush like that. But something that's very worn is kind of ideal for this type of work. Let's try it. Let's just take white. Now my palette's getting very messy, isn't it? So let's just take a white down here with a hint of the blue, okay? And let's just pick out little parts of the water which is falling down and turning over, yeah? Okay, let's just go for it. I'll go with the big part over here. So let's go along straight and then turn and pull down. Okay? Just like that. Now give it a rub on some tissue to keep it clean, then pick it up again, and let's just pull it down again very gently. Let it kind of miss as well now here and there, okay? And we've another one there. Again, give it a clean, pick it up again, more clean paint. Let's go along, let's turn it here and come along. Then it turns and falls down again. Okay? Now you can see it's picking up some of the brown underneath. That's what I want. because that gives you the impression of the colour underneath showing through the water. So let's try that again. Okay, let's pull this one down here. Let's turn over, drag it across, turn down and lift off. Okay, how's that? Am I keeping that simple enough for you now, yes? Now when it comes down, it sort of comes across like this almost, and then it starts getting straight, you see? Like so. Remember, just keep cleaning your brush. It has to be nice and clean. And let's just add a little light here to that. And gently pull, you see? Just gently pull it down like this. Not too bad so far. Now for the smaller ones, okay, for the very small ones, you could then take a small little rough brush. So let's say something like this, for example. Look, a very worn flat brush. Worn brushes are the best brushes of all, believe me. They're the best brushes for painting because they give you the most natural effects. So we could, for instance, let's imagine there's another small one coming down, turn down like that, bring it straight down. You see, so it kind of hits and misses. Alright, pick up some more again. Isn't that lovely? And I've been really dry with my brush now. I've hardly any paint on my brush. Then I'm going to go back to another slightly thicker brush. Okay, this is dry by the way, it's a dry brush. Let's pick up a hint of blue, just the tiniest hint of blue. And we have a nice thick one here then, don't we? Let's try and get this thick one going. Put it down like that first. Then we pull the top one down slightly. And slowly but surely, the waterfall is emerging. Now let's create another little piece of waterfall underneath. So let's imagine there's another rock underneath down low. The water's hitting it and it's turning over and falling down, okay? Now this will all make sense very soon, don't worry. Let's take another little bit of light. I want some light catching some of these. Okay, here and there. What I'm going to do then is take my soft blender brush. Now where's my blender? Oh, there it is. Very soft blender brush. I'm going to very gently, just here and there, pull some of them down, follow them around, and then soften them down here, look, very gently. I'm hardly touching the canvas now. And I'll take my very pointy brush then, my very small detailed brush, and I'll take a little bit of white on that, and I'll put a hint of one or two single ones, just kind of popping down here and there, look. Just on their own. You see? And even a little bit of light just here and there on the tops. So you can make this as easy or as complicated as you like. It's completely up to you. Personally, I like to keep it simple. Then I'm going to take my palette knife. I get my flat one actually, the one with the square edge on the knife, okay? So I'll take this one, for example. Let's take a little bit of white and just put a little hint of white here and there across the top waterfall, just to suggest the edge where it just meets the curve, okay? And let's put a little along here, pull it around, create some texture on the waterfall, okay? There. Now, how is that? One thing I want to do is, at the base of the waterfall, I don't see it on the reference photograph, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to create some mist, kind of mistiness at the base of that waterfall. I'm just simply going to take some white, okay, with a dry brush, and I'm just going to go along in little circles, okay? So that's now going to mix with that blue I put on originally. Remember that blue there? It's going to pick that up and it's going to soften together, you see, creating a lovely mist. Look at that. Go around in little circles and we already have a gorgeous little mist on the waterfall. Isn't that just marvellous? And you could soften it upwards then, here and there, just into the waterfall. Look, very gently, hardly touching the canvas. And it just gives you a nice transition between the waterfall and the water. You see what I mean? So it's not just a hard edge and a solid separation. It's nice and soft. And look, we could even go up at the side here, giving it even more character. Isn't that wonderful? Let's soften it right in. So you see, we're making it our own already. Now I'll take a little soft kind of a blender brush I have here, and I'm just going to soften that very gently in. Very, very gently. I pull the water down into it and then soften it gently across. Look. Now isn't that wonderful? Very, very nice. Now we can add little details to our water if we need to at a later stage, okay? I think I'll just get some of this in here. Some of this watery colour. So I'm going to take a flat brush and I'm going to go and mix. Let's take some white, some phaylo blue, a little lamp black and some crimson. A little hint of crimson as well. I'm just going to go along left to right, just soften that across. Okay, so I'm just lightening it slightly, that's all. Then I'm going to take a small flat brush and I'm going to take some lamp black with some burnt umber. And I'm going to suggest a reflection around here of that dark section. Just in there, look. Left to right again. And I pick up some more of that. And I'm going to suggest some dark just around here. I'm using the very tip of the brush now. It's like a little point of the brush, you see. I'm just using individual little hairs on the tip of the brush, that's all. Just to put this in. Now, give that a quick clean, just dip it in your turpentine and give it a good wipe on some tissue. And let's take, I'm thinking, a fan brush. I'm just going to take a fan brush with a little white. Okay. And I'm just going to strengthen some of these here. Okay. Then at the end, just give it a little roughage, look. And I'll soften it then very, very gently, just soften it together. Very, very gently. Like so. Now, I want to create some light on the water as well, okay? So I'm going to just create some ripples. Some nice little ripples here and there. Of course, I know there's a lot of rock in here now as well, but I just want to create some little ripples first. What I might do is actually, I might take some Naples yellow with a hint of white and a hint of red. I'm just going to create some little light ripples here and there, look. And this is just adding movement to the water, that's all I'm doing. Okay. Now, something else I want to do is, and you see what's happening is, as we're looking around, we're seeing new things that we might want to change or add to. So for instance, I'm going to add some deep purple into this shadow here, because it needs a bit of purple there, I think. I'll just take some blue and a little red, and I'm going to just deepen that. Let's actually take a little touch of blue, or a little touch of white as well. Okay? I'm going to put a nice deep kind of a purpley blue just in here and there. And a little bit along here. Okay, just a little. And then again with my small pointy brush, I'm going to just rough up the edge of the surface up here. It's a little bit too flat, isn't it? Look, let's just make it a little kind of up and down here and there. Isn't that right? No. Okay, that's a bit better, isn't it? And I may add a little light here and there to this rock as well. Okay, and I might add some of that blue in under this rock as well, because you'll have some of the light from the water reflecting up into the shadows. Do you see what I mean? Just kind of here and there. Just a little bit, just to help. Now, and as I was saying before, you can use your fan brush as well if you wish to do some of the water. Let's try it. Let's take a little bit of white. I just want to brighten it slightly. I think the waterfall needs a little bit of more light hitting it. So let's go and go here, and let's just pull some of that down. So you see, you can use just your fan brush as well. That's a bit better, isn't it? Now, and I will probably keep coming back to this now time and time again until I'm kind of relatively happy with it. But that's okay. If you want to keep going at it, I just wouldn't overdo it, okay? Just be careful not to overdo anything to do with water like this. Just be very, very, very careful. Let's add a little bit more up here, just to suggest that the water continues on all the way up. Okay. Now, how is that looking so far? Are we happy enough with that? What do we think? I may do some of the rock here. Okay, I might get some of this rock in, and we'll see then how we're looking color wise, if there's something that we want to change and so on. Yeah, I think we'll try that plan. So I'll start off with some Naples yellow, some burnt sienna, and a little touch of burnt umber. Okay, and let's just put in a suggestion of some rock just here. And I'll take some dark colour, so some black and some crimson, and put in some darks just right at the bottom of the rock. Now I'm going to take a smaller brush and then go for some lighter colours, some Naples yellow and sienna, a little white, and I'm going to pop that in, just flick it down here and there, look. And there's a lot of sienna in this as well. Sienna with Naples yellow. Okay. Then I'll take a little detail brush and I'm going to take some Naples yellow with white, perhaps sienna with white as well. And let's put in some highlights. Now I know the colour is not exact, okay, and I will go over it probably a couple of times just to get it right. But I just want to separate this from the water, that's all. Okay, pull them down in the direction of that rock. And then take some black and let's put some black. Let's take a hint of cadmium red actually with the black, and let's just catch some of the darks under those rocks. Couple. Now it is quite tricky with this when it's all very wet, okay, and you can see what I mean, the colours kind of mix together. If you want, you can just let this all dry and go at it then when it's a little bit more on the dry side, if you wish. That will make it easier, but I'm just very impatient. I like to kind of keep painting. I hate having to let something dry in between coats, because when I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone. Do you understand? So I just like to kind of keep going. Now, I'll leave it at that. Okay, that's okay for now. We'll sort that out later. I think next I'll put in this big rock over here, and I may call that part 2 finished. Okay, I'll see how it goes. I'm kind of looking around here. I'm just not completely happy with a lot of that. I think it's that rock in the middle up there. It's just not working for me. I don't know why. I'm sure I will figure out why. Perhaps if we add a little sienna and Naples yellow to it, I think that might help. I think it might. I think it's just, colour wise, it's just not complementing the painting at all. It's just not. I think just a little bit of this colour going through it would help. Right, I'm going to put in a big rock out here. I'm going to take some burnt sienna, some burnt umber, a little white, and some Naples yellow. We'll get this big rock in here, okay? Like that. Then I'll take a smaller brush and put in the dark side of that. It has a lovely shadow in behind. Okay, there we go. Just a quick kind of impression of that shadow there, that's all. And then I will add a little bit of dark to the rock itself. Just pulling it down, creating a little bit of dark texture on the rock. Now a lot of these rocks have what I would call a kind of a peppering. Do you understand what that means? A peppering on the rock. What I mean by that is, if you take a rough kind of a brush, okay, a very rough brush, and let's take some burnt umber, and let's take some burnt umber and a hint of black, right? What I mean by peppering is, if you dab it very gently like this, it gives you that very kind of peppered look on the rock, and just kind of go around it randomly like this. Do you understand what I mean? And then you can do the same for the light side. So for the light side, then take some Naples yellow, let's say, and a little white. Let's go nice and bright with it. And then for the light side, do the very same, look. And soften that down into your dark side. You see what I mean? That kind of a peppered effect. I may do that actually on this one as well. Quite a nice effect. It just gives you, I suppose, a more natural rock for a lake, for like a river's edge, that kind of a thing. You see? I think it works a little bit better. And then I'm going to take some black, little burnt umber. Just going to go around under the shadow here again. And I may even add a few little ridges and crevices and stuff like that to the rock itself. So now, how is that? I'll go up there now with some really bright colour and just put a hint of light here and there on the rock. Look. Just really defining the top edge. So how are we looking? Now I'm thinking it's just there's maybe too much dark over here. So what you could do is, just to break that up, okay, rather than going out and putting more rocks and stuff like that in there, we could just take our fan brush and add a little hint of foliage popping down into that. How about that? Just to sort of break it up. You see what I mean? Just a hint. And that will break it up nicely. Okay, I am going to leave this, I think, at part 2. And let me see now, is there anything else that we can improve on? We can do a lot with this, but I think I might like to leave it dry just a little, because there's still some of the waterfall area I want to work on, which I'm just not kind of very happy with. Put a bit of blue in there, just to lighten it slightly. But I don't know, we'll see. Look, it's changing all the time as we go. Let's just leave it be, leave it settle, and I'll come right back to you with part 3, okay? I shouldn't be too long with part 3. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to subscribe, please do subscribe to me. Let me turn the camera here so you can see myself. I like talking to you on camera. I just don't like recording something and then just switching it off. I like to kind of thank you all in person. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I have loads more of these on my Patreon channel if you want to pop over and take a look just to support me. I do appreciate it very, very much. I'll be right back with this. It's not too bad. There's a few things I might want to change, but we'll see as we go. Alright? Don't go anywhere. Keep your paints and your canvas right where they are. I won't be too long. Okay? Thank you very much.